forgive me for all I've done.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Warner Brothers and Dune 3 dropped a brand new trailer, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references to the books here. Everybody ready to watch a whole bunch of beautiful people do terrible things to the universe and to each other. They're treating this like a very big deal. They held a special event just for this trailer premiere, and they did one for the last big trailer too. On their official post, they used the quote from Paul Atreides, "Forgive me for all I've done," which is a reference to all the atrocities that he winds up visiting, like all the people that die on his golden path that he's trying to lead humanity on during the course of this book series. Or at least during the portion of the book series where he is the main character of the Dune series. If it wasn't clear, there's a very big time jump after the end of Dune Part 2, so like many years have gone by. At the beginning of the trailer, we see Paul meeting with Chani, and it seems like a while has gone by, and she's livid with him over the war that he's been waging across the universe. Like, how dare you do this? You told me it wasn't going to be like this.
You know, at the end of the second film, Chani is obviously feeling a sense of betrayal towards Paul and how the relationship has crumbled, and I think, without giving too much away, in the third film, I think it's sort of Denis' mastery in weaving in storylines that weren't explicit in the book, and perhaps I would say where Denis took the most creative liberty.
But all those things that he told her about their future together on this planet, in his place on this planet with her people, were before he took the waters of life and fully awakened to his powers. One of the big things in the story is that his powers aren't a blessing, they're a curse. So he's trying to find this best path, the golden path for humanity, but he has to do these terrible things, at least he thinks, to achieve it. So the way he views it, it's a tragedy, like it's a very great burden that he's willing to bear himself. Like he feels like he absolutely has to do it in order for humanity to survive. But it doesn't absolve him of all the terrible atrocities that he winds up visiting on the universe, which he also understands too. Like, he's not going to be redeemed by any of this. So the whole idea is that Chani views this as a huge betrayal, which is why later in the trailer we see her take that blue ribbon that she was wearing around her head up. That was basically a sign, like a visual metaphor of their relationship. So like when they became a mated pair, she started wearing it in a certain way, and when she takes it off and casts it off into the wind like it just blows away, that's sort of the Fremen way of saying that they're separated, about to be divorced. But you'll also notice in that shot, because so many years have gone by, that both of their children from the books have been born. So very big deal. This is one of the reasons for such a big time jump after Dune Part 2. Also because of Alia's age, they wanted Anya Taylor-Joy to be able to play her convincingly, and she's a 20-something looking woman, so they needed Alia to look convincingly as a 20-something-year-old woman. While this is going on, across the trailer they use that chant that Hans Zimmer wrote called The Golden Path. Like the chant itself is called The Golden Path. As we see Paul's wars across the universe, there's a lot of scenes of Stilgar going on these different planets. Also love the scene of them seeing the ocean for the first time. Like, it just blows their minds. Look at all this water. If it wasn't clear, this is meant to be them on other planets. Like, this isn't on Arrakis where this ocean is that they're seeing. We get a couple scenes of Paul himself on some of these other planets too. We get a couple flashbacks of her pregnant with their children. We will see how they weave this into the actual plot of the movie, if it happens early on or if they flash back later when they're talking about their children. The earlier Dune films, Part 1 and Part 2, were very non-linear in the way they did a lot of his flashbacks, where like randomly sometimes he would just think of things from the future, or in Dune Part 2 he'd flashback both to the past and to the future because of the way he experiences the timeline now because of his powers. We get the really cool scene of him addressing all of his people. At this point in the movie, he's shaved his head too. You can kind of chart the timeline of the movie based on how long his hair is and what his face looks like, because they are doing the stone burner incident. And later in the trailer, where you see that bright flash of light and he tried to protect someone, that's probably the stone burner incident. And at the very end of the trailer, you see the scarring around his eyes. That's probably well after, like after he started to recover from it. Stone burners are exactly what they sound like, tools that burn very hot, able to kill, almost blind most people, and Paul Atreides, who's super powerful, is able to blind him. So part of the idea is that physically he goes blind, like his regular eyes stop working, but it doesn't dampen his powers at all. We get a bunch more scenes of him having dialogue talking to Jason Momoa's hate character, who is the Ghola of Duncan, Idaho, who knows that he's a Ghola. Like, I was told that I was an Atreides at one point, which he references like, oh, you fight kind of like an Atreides, because he has a lot of the genetic memories of Duncan, Idaho is why. Later in the trailer, he's also very mistrustful of him, like, why should I accept this? Because the Spacing Guild, as well as the Bene Tlaxlu, give him as a gift to Paul Atreides as a ruse, trying to use this character, Hate, Jason Momoa's character, to kill him eventually. Most of the movie seems like it's based on Dune Messiah, the book, and a little bit maybe of Children of Dune because his children are around during this movie. And the story of Dune Messiah picks up after a long time jump after the previous book and centers around different groups conspiring to undo Paul's rule with complex plots. There are three main ones. The Stoneburner plot, a Fremen conspiracy involving the face dancer Scytale, played by Robert Pattinson's character, who we also hear speak for the first time in this trailer. Also classic Robert Pattinson doing another weird accent. Can't wait to see what kind of crazy things he does in this movie. You just have to imagine him sitting around thinking about the movies that he's going to be in and all the weird accents that he's going to come up with. Scytale's involved in all the plots to kill Paul Atreides, but there are three main different ones. Then there's the Duncan, Idaho Ghola conspiracy, which you see his character and Paul Atreides himself is already wary of him. It's a joint effort by the Bene Tlaxlu and the Bene Gesserit as we see them talking in the trailer about the conspiracy, like, you're crazy, you're going to get us all killed. As a Bene Gesserit, Irulan understands Paul's powers and is worried that his prescience is going to cause him to learn about their treachery. Then there winds up being a third and final conspiracy involving Princess Irulan, which is a combination of a couple of the other previous plots to try and kill him. So a lot of the movie is a bunch of different people trying to kill Paul across the entire film.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
During Jason Momoa's voiceover talking about his war across all these different worlds of the universe, we get this really trippy scene of his sister Alia walking past all these bodies that have been crucified. I cannot wait to see her go crazy during this movie. She's going to be awesome. When he's meeting with the Hate, Duncan, Idaho Ghola, they're inside Alia's temple, Saint Alia of the Knife. If it wasn't clear, this isn't Paul's temple, this is Alia's temple. And part of the idea they're hoping with this Hate Ghola is that Paul will let down his defenses because of his love for Duncan Idaho, because he cared about him so much when he was alive, that it'll let him get close enough to eventually kill him, and they'll be able to program Hate to kill him. We see a ship fly by what looks like a giant statue of Paul Atreides, bald at this point. This is the Atreides symbol next to it too. Enough time has gone by that monuments to him have been built. When he says he's here to deliver a peace proposal, it's from the other major factions in the universe that basically want to get rid of Paul and using this ruse to do it. This person in white returning to Arrakis seems like Irulan. And we get that scene of Robert Pattinson's Scytale character, and it seems like Edric in the transportation vessel behind him, the Spacing Guild navigator. I think the idea with his design is they're trying to make it closer to the original book concept art. There are a couple different scenes of his pod in different places around the movie. We will see if we actually get a look at him inside the pod, though. That's the real question. Both the David Lynch version and then the sci-fi miniseries version gave us different looking versions of Guild navigators. We get a couple scenes where it seems like Alia is starting to go mad. She's starting to succumb to the madness. That was the reason why the Bene Gesserit were worried and called it an abomination when they found out that Jessica was pregnant when she took the waters of life, because an unborn child was fully awakened to the powers of the Bene Gesserit and the Reverend Mother, and that was going to drive Alia mad. And part of the idea is that they gain access to all these previous memories, and because as an unborn child, she wasn't prepared or trained to handle the weight of all those different personalities in the past, those memories, they have the danger that they might take over her mind. So it'll be really interesting to see how crazy they get with the way they visualize that in the movie. And I love the way they end the trailer with Paul after the Stoneburner incident, like you notice his shaved head and the scars around his eyes, and says, "Forgive me for what I've done," but the idea is that there will be no forgiveness. No forgiveness will be given to him. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and let me know if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the footage that I didn't talk about in the video. As far as Warner Brothers and Marvel have said, they're still planning on releasing Avengers Doomsday and Dune 3 on the same weekend. It's going to be Doomsday still. There have been all kinds of jokes about it, so we'll see if that winds up sticking or if somebody is gun-shy and moves the date just by a little bit for one of their movies.
We both have films opening on December 18th, and we've decided to coin it. You go for it. We're thinking Doomsday. You like it? All right. We'll see if we're still friends by then.
But the really big reminder is that Comic-Con is coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'm expecting a bunch of trailers and footage for a bunch of different movies. Of course, I will do all of the videos for as much stuff as possible. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for my other big Dune 3 trailer video, and click here for my new House of the Dragon episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.